Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is December the 30th, 2025. Hopefully this episode finds you well, in good spirits and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Hopefully you're having a good day. Hopefully the day treated you well. As for me, I would say it was a good day. You know, work on the job freak out, near workout death excluded. But hey, it just comes with the day, right? But let's go ahead and get into it. So, we get up as per usual. Lucky me. And, we get up and we get after it. Ankle update. It is currently feeling a bit better, but at the top of the day, definitely still had some pain. Started off with the whole Advil treatment. We're still moving. We're still kicking, baby. But we get to work. To my fancy, which it feels weird to say that, post peak, but I was happy to see some buggies because I'm like, okay, cool. At least this will keep me downstairs for like a few minutes, I need my isolation time. Put me back in the enclosure, please. So I worked a couple of buggies, but I knew I had to get upstairs because, like I said in the previous episode, I've been tasked with doing cardboard running upstairs. So I was like, I know I got to check on that scene. I know I got to, keep a handle on that. That's important. So I go up and I make my rounds, and the day I can tell, like, okay, this is going to be a little bit different because the person who I am covering for isn't here at all for the whole day, right? I'm taking their place in now. So, I knew I had to be aware of that. But overall, I think, once again, just with it being such a slow week, that really wasn't a problem. So I really wasn't worried about it. I was like, this should be pretty textbook. I think I got this. Things should be good. So, I'm making my way through the day. And, it was going solid. But I want to say around somewhere between maybe the first and second break, that's when we kind of started picking up. And I was like, okay, I'm really feeling it. And I've described this before. But essentially the way the floors work is the third floor is the slowest action, mainly because that's where we have all our processors. They're the top billed, top paid, workers in terms of the people who do the picking, processing, all that kind of shit, putting the shirts in the boxes, that what we do, all that shit. So they kind of are doing their whole thing. Their orders are usually easier. It's just lighter up there, right? That's kind of the destination that you want to be if you're going to work on the upper floors. Second floor is much busier because that's where everyone else is. That's pretty much where Gen Pop is for most of our work. And I would say the majority of our workers in any given point of the day are going to be on the second floor. So, maybe that's actually debatable. Actually, that's very debatable now. Don't even quote me on that. It's definitely the first floor with the bullet, especially with the warehouse expansion, but whatever. There's a lot of action on the second floor. So that's where I was at. That's where I was holding it down. And I want to say, like I said, between 10 to about 12 is when it was kind of heating up. It was getting a little crazy. And, I was like, okay, let's just keep hitting it. Once again, and I'm saying crazy, but crazy for me is because I'm not used to it. It's been so long. Overall, though, not bad. And at some point, I get I get to a certain part of the floor, and someone comes up to me and they're like, hey, man, I see you working up here now. That's cool and all, but I got this. I at least got this side. You don't have to come over here. You can kind of work on that side. And maybe he just wanted his territory, his space. He didn't want me cramping his style, whatever. But you don't have to tell me twice, buddy. I'll take it. So I said, cool, man. You got it. Sounds good. And he was even taking it as far as hey, man, you don't even have to really be up there. You can go back to the crusher. I was like, yeah, man, cool. And I low-key was about to take him up on that offer, even though he's not, the guy with any kind of juice or whatever. But I know it's loose enough for me to kind of I can pop in and pop out at this point. Cool. Awesome. Love that. Because I'm feeling it a little bit. I'm kind of getting a taste of it. But as I'm going downstairs, someone comes up to me and they say, hey, can you help? Like, can you help me? And I was like, oh, yeah, no, totally. I got you. What do you need? And they just pretty much just needed help with that side, the other side. And they're like, yeah, could you just, run some of this cardboard, put some of it up, put some of it up on the mezzanine to get, sent to the crusher, all that. And I'm like, yeah, no, I gotcha. And, they just kind of kept asking for help. And I was like, okay, cool. And, as we were, working together, they were like, just asking me questions and stuff like that. And then we had like this weird moment where it felt like I was like some like darkened character that she got to unlock on a character screen. Cause she was like, yeah, how long have you been working here? And I was like, oh, I've been here for like 11 years. And she's like, what? And I'm like, yeah. I've been here for like 11 years. I just don't come upstairs very often. So she's like, oh, okay, that's great. That's awesome. So yeah, you're from down there. You're from the crusher. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, that's where I work most of the time. And this has been a person who's just been in the company for about like, I guess over a year. So it was nice to kind of like meet someone and have a conversation. That was nice. Make a little bit of small talk. And it was a good reminder too for me that like, it is so easy for me to like shift to being that person, whether or not I want to be or not want to be, when it's someone who is like a peer, who is like in the trenches with you and like is saying, hey, can you help me with this thing? Like, you know what I mean? And they were explaining it. They're like, yeah, I saw you the other day and you were kind of bouncing around. I didn't see you, for most of the day, but I did see you around. And I wasn't sure if you were like, able to do this stuff or whatever, if you were like in the department to do so. And I was like, totally feel free to ask me for help whenever. I got you. And it was just like, once again, it was a nice reminder because, we've talked about some of my dramas in terms of like, conversations with supervisors or whatever. And I'm sure I sound like a huge crabby asshole, like, Isaiah, this is your job. You signed up to do it. Da, da, da. Of course, I'm totally down to do the work, show up and do my fucking job, do what is asked. But like, I want it to be fucking normal shit. Like, yeah, man, we are busy. We need help. Like, can you hop on this? I got you. No hesitation. It's just so much easier, I guess, to take it from someone who is in it with you, as opposed to someone who is like trying to just like do a power trip. You know what I mean? But needless to say, let's get to the work freak out part. Things are going a little too well, right? So, we're kicking, we're moving. And at one point the lead comes up to me and they're like, hey, can you put these I need these 2 box skids. I need them put on the mezzanine and I need you to get them sent to the 3rd floor. And I'm like, okay, I got you. Internally, I am sighing. I am long sighing because this is one of the things that I hated doing back in the day. It freaks me out to no end doing any kind of mezzanine work because you have to like jack up your either your cardboard buggy, your skid or what have you. You're supposed to put it all the way up to the edge of the thing, to the edge of the mezzanine, with this gate that you have to open up and then also, dual wield the pallet jack and like get it all, worked in there just right so they can, pick it up with the, reach truck equipment downstairs. So it is, in my opinion, the hardest thing to do in terms of setting these things up when it comes to these cardboard boxes, because they're whole cardboard boxes stacked up, I think about 5 boxes or so high, so to speak. I mean, given the size of the box. And essentially, it is maybe a half a head taller than me, right? I'm a 5'11". I'm a short king. What can I say? So you got to get this skid of boxes on there. And then, get it sent up. It's actually easy on paper. And generally, if you're doing it one at a time, it's not that big a deal. You just got to make sure that it's not too tall for the mezzanine before you put it out there. Easy peasy. This is 101 shit. I knew how to do that. I get it one on there and I'm like, all right, cool. Glad I still got it. But I'm feeling myself / I want to make sure I get this done as efficiently as possible. And I want to put on both of the skids, which with the sizing of the boxes in the mezzanine, it is literally just barely enough to fit. And it is hard to get both at the edge of the mezzanine door, like for the reach trucks. So I'm like, I can do this. I know I can do this. It's crunch time. Let's fucking go. And I proceed to try to set it up and I bungle it. I fucking bungle the fuck out of it. And like, It's not so bad that there's no accidents or anything called, thank God. But I just knew that like at one point I couldn't get the mezzanine door open or closed. And I was like, well, we gotta get that worked out. So I, with some finagling, moving around, some sweating, I'm able to do it. And I call up for it. Another person calls on the radio. They're like, da 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 da, and I'm not like doing any kind of accident. I just didn't hear what they said. I don't think they heard what I said, and I was just at that point. I don't know why. I just like I was sweating out, and I'm just overwhelmed, and I just like repeat myself, and I'm like, I'm gonna go. And I literally flee. And the lady I was talking to earlier, they're like, hey, and they were bringing up a cardboard buggy to put on there. And I tell her, hey, this door is filled. Just so you know, you can go ahead and drop it off. I'll put it on there later. I got to go to the restroom, though. And then I just go. I disappear. And then I go back down to the first floor. And I see that there's 3 cardboard buggies, and I just run to them. Like they're home, and I just slide right in because I can't do anything else right now. I'm just done. And I'm listening to the radio to hear if there's going to be any issues, if there's going to be any kind of drama, if anyone's mad at me, cussing me out, like who the fuck left these boxes of skids up here? Da da da. I don't even know where they were supposed to go, even though I did say they were supposed to go. Da da da. So like I was waiting it out. Luckily, there was no fire, no problem. I come back up a little bit later, and eventually, even the cardboard buggy that I had left got put on there. So, respectfully, she was really nice, and she let me off easy on that. The person I was helping, because I cracked. I just couldn't do it. And but after that, we were good. There really weren't any hassles, kerfuffles. Everything was solid after that. And I think overall I got good marks. I think this was the right approach to just say, hey, let's just run headlong into this shit and just get reacquainted with, the job as it will be again. You know what I mean? So that was more or less work. Let's see, post work, we go to the gym. That's right. I gotta tell you about how I almost died. Maybe, who knows, hypothetically. So, we get into the gym, and it's busy. It's Tuesday. That makes sense, right? And but luckily, I was able to get on the Smith machine right away. Love that. And I started off. I'm doing my bench press. Awesome. I get onto my incline bench, and I set it up. The first set goes perfectly normal, fine. The second set, and I'm glad I do my sets this way at descending weight. This worked in my favor today. The second set does not go as well. As I'm going, I can't remember at what count, at some point, the bench just pops. Like, it just pops like it broke. And I was just like, ugh! And I don't know if the Smith machine catches it, or I make the Smith machine catch it, or, before I kind of, like, fall back into the bench. But, it all happens very quickly, and I'm kind of like stun locked. I'm kind of like scared and like confused. Like, what did I just do? What happened? Like, am I okay? And like, literally another gym bro like walks up to me, and he's like, hey man, you good? And at first I'm like, yeah, I'm good. But then I look up at him and I'm like, actually, could you help me lift this? And it was like, I think 145. I could feel myself able to lift it, but once again, I was just a little stun locked, and I was just like, it's too close. I should wiggle out of this. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. This guy's offering to help. Let him help. And so he helps me. He's my hero, and everything is fine. I think what had happened was when I went to slide up the incline bench, I didn't lock it in properly. Like, I went too high or something, and it just didn't lock in all the way, or maybe I just didn't, fully put it in. And it just, boom, fell down like, a whole ass fucking peg or two. So, that was a little scary, but sadly, that is not the first time that's happened to me. At this point in my gym journey, I've had a few foibles like that where, I didn't quite latch on the seat or whatever. And, I bust my ass. And luckily, no one's like ever laughed at me. So, that I will truly hold Planet Fitness to this. Like, it really is a judgment free zone, at least, not audibly. I didn't make fun of the guy shadowboxing. So I'm glad no one made fun of me for busting my ass or like, almost dying on the Smith machine. Do you know how that would be very embarrassing? But I literally told my friend the other week, I'm like, nah, I think that's how I go out. I think I go out somehow with like just a plate smashing my skull in. I'm sorry, I'm getting morbid, but like, I don't know, man. It's that or a chicken bone for my fucking single ass at this point, right? I don't know, man. Anyway, workout went well, sans that moment. Overall, the pump was solid. I feel like I've increased my general like lightweight. You know what I mean? Like it feels good to really like note that that generally I'm not like getting pressed. Pushing like at 225 up to 275, like things like that. Like that's nice to have that be like more or less working weight for me. So yay, love that as we're closing out the year. But yeah, we got on all our other, equipment for the weight training for, cardio. So it was good there. Also, like I said, this is where the ankle, I don't want to say it's back to full strength, but I was able to do all my cardio the way I wanted. So I'll take that. That is, close enough. But yeah, that was pretty much the day. After that, we come home, we have a little snack, we do a little stretch, and do a little research. And it's going to lead us to our read-along that we have for this episode, because I feel like most of these stories, we are going to have to do a full read-through. So, grab a snack, get a nice little drink, get comfy, get cozy. But yeah, let's go ahead and take our last break first and foremost. Our last break? What am I talking about? Let's take our start up and then take our last break. How does that sound? That sounds better, right? There we go. Oh, also, I learned something today. Apparently, we don't do our start of shift meetings every day now. We've evolved, we've changed. Which, if I was paying attention to my supervisor currently, I would have known that. But I didn't show up to the meetings because I didn't want to, and like he didn't press me, so like whatever. But I literally showed up to it today, and there was like no one there. Everyone was just working, and I felt like a fucking idiot. And then I was like, I'm just going to casually keep walking away now. And then I find my lead, and they're like, oh yeah, we only do those like maybe 3 days in the week. And if it's like redundant information, then we just don't. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. All right, I'm going to take my break now. So I love that. I am forever a student. Oh, man. And then I don't know if I mentioned this in the previous episode, but tomorrow I am going to be off. So that's cool. I'm pretty much off for New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. So we love that. But then I'm going to be going back on Friday to finish out my stint as, the king of cardboard. Whew. Okay. Oh boy. From ABC News. 3 found dead during search for fallen hiker in California. A 19-year-old who fell while hiking on Southern California's Mount Baldy and 2 others were found dead during the search and rescue effort for the teen, authorities said. The recovery effort for the 3 deceased hikers is underway, the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department said on Tuesday. Amid dangerous conditions, Mount Baldy is now closed until New Year's Day to protect natural resources and provide for public safety, the Sheriff's Department said Tuesday afternoon. Oof. The search for the teen began midday Monday when a search and rescue team responded to a request to rescue the hiker after he reportedly fell approximately 500 feet near the Devil's Backbone Trail. Oof. A friend who was hiking with the teen hiked to an area with cellular service and provided GPS coordinates to assist rescuers, the sheriff's department said in a press release. During an aerial search, deputies found the teen as well as two unidentified individuals nearby, though the helicopter was unable to complete the rescue due to severe winds. Later Monday evening, an air medic was hoisted down, confirmed all three hikers were dead, authorities said. The helicopter was unable to safely recover them at that time due to severe winds. Damn, that's one of the first times where you saw that, like, at least for me, I've read, like, the cadence changed from rescue to recovery like that, where they're like, yeah, we were actively, like, maybe there's a chance that, like, they were just, like, incapacitated down there. We don't know. We can't confirm it. But then once we did, it's like, well, we're just trying to pick them up, pick up the bodies. The name of the teen has not been released. The two unidentified hikers found near him were in a separate group and were located by chance during the search for the teen, according to the sheriff's department. Man, I'm sorry. You are not catching me on a hike on, one, Mount Baldy, two, the Devil's Backbone. Like, if it sounds like a place in Dark Souls, you're not catching me there, friend. No shot, bud. I hike on a treadmill. I can hike around my local little park. I don't need a challenge. All right. I don't want to be in a fucking situation like this. Obviously though, condolences. This is obviously a very sad story to be covering. You're just trying to get out and experience some nature, all that, and as well as you should be able to appreciate this stuff. But, it sucks you wind up dying at Mount Baldy. You know what I mean? Goddamn. And you got podcasters like me yapping about it. Anyway, speaking of things I'm going to yap about, let's move on to our next story. Thing we have been talking about. This story of American conquest just, I guess, continues. From Reuters. U.S. strikes drug boat loading facility in Venezuela, Trump says. He said, fuck it, we're hitting him at the source. President Donald Trump said on Monday that the U.S. had hit an area in Venezuela where boats are loaded with drugs, marking the first known time Washington has carried out land operations in Venezuela since a pressure campaign began against President Nicolas Maduro's government. There was a major explosion in the dock area where they load boats up with drugs, Trump said. We hit all the boats, and now we hit the area. It's the implementation area. That's where they implement. And that is no longer around. Dude, fucking hell yeah, man. Look, if you ever want to come for me, just come for our president first, all right? He talks crazier than I do. And in that regard, I actually kind of love it. Because it's proof that you don't have to be, good at speaking. You don't have to speak good. Fuck that shit. You just have to make America great. That's all you gotta do. If you quote unquote do that, then fuck it. God damn it. They will let you walk on into the White House. Paint that bitch gold. Anyway, it was not immediately clear what target was hit, nor which part of the U.S. government acted. Asked if the CIA had carried out the attack, Trump said, I don't want to say that. I know exactly who it was, but I don't want to say who it was. Bro, I also love that Trump is your catty bitch friend who, like, is just gonna dangle some information in front of your face and, like, they want to fucking tell you. You know that they probably do know, but they're gonna be a fucking coy little fucking prick about it. And it's like, dog, why are you wasting all our time with this fucking rigmarole? Like, you can say it, you're already doing it. And it's like, I don't want to spoil it. Just stand back and watch, Patriots. Like, what are we fucking doing here, dog? Did they do it or not? CNN sources reported on Monday that the CIA had carried out a drone strike earlier this month on a port facility on the coast of Venezuela. This is something I had been hearing about. I think, yeah, pray tell. Can you use the word pray tell here? I don't know. Anyway, but I had heard about it and I was like, okay, is this 100% confirmed? Is this a bit of media rumor that, like, I mean, yes, you could say it, but like we just haven't actually confirmed it, you know? Like, oh, these are anonymous sources. But this seems to be, yes, the CIA has been getting active. Like, it's not just something that Trump said on a podium. It's something that is actually happening, which is crazy because, you know, I feel like we've had this conversation out at sea about us, you know, doing our whole little piracy, colonialism bullshit, whatever. But if we are actively in Venezuela doing shit, doing actually disruptive shit, taking things to the level that we are taking it now, like blowing up things on land. I do like that they were saying, hey, it was on the port, like as if it's like this is still a wet situation, so it's still like we're still like not pressing it. You know, we're not doing war crimes, we're not starting wars. Nah, this is once again at sea. We're justified because drugs, so many drugs. We're stopping so much drugs this way, I guess. Let's see. The strike targeted a remote dock that the U.S. believed was being used by the Venezuelan gang Tren de Agua. I'm never going to pronounce that correctly. Tren de Agua, to store drugs and move them onto boats for onward shipping, according to CNN. Trump has said previously that he has authorized the CIA to carry out covert operations in Venezuela. So that was what I had heard. But we're actually, you know, I feel like with this, now he's adding on, you know, he's doubling down on that statement with the CIA. I don't know, man. Like, it does seem like we are really cruising for that bruising. I mean, and not to say that it's like, oh yeah, Venezuela, you know, they're totally gonna put up a big fight against us or whatever, but it's not about that. Like, this should be alarming to you that this kind of shit is happening in 2025. That for some reason, this administration feels like this is what we need to be doing as, you know, this excellent, American superpower that we are. We need to be fucking beating the brat that is Venezuela and trying to take their fucking lunch money, take as much of their oil as possible. Or should I say, install a more democratic, government for the people and, establish good trade negotiations, No, this is sphere of influence. Like, this is something I've been thinking about because another thing we haven't really talked about. The Trump administration, I believe, maybe it was last month, top of this month, whatever. We're wrapping up this year. Who gives a shit? But they kind of laid out a statement, right? And this is the thing every administration does. But, like, it was reading a lot like more or less the Monroe Doctrine, but, like, Trump's version. And essentially saying, like, hey, man, like, we have the right to act in our sphere of influence. We're allowed to do that. We're allowed to control it how we feel, how we deem. I'm wildly paraphrasing this shit. But I feel like that was the vibe that they're trying to implement here. They're trying to say. And, I mean, they say a lot without actually directly saying it. There's a lot of implications, but it just felt like they were trying to justify a lot of the shit that they are doing right here, right now with Venezuela. But does it? No, not in my opinion. No, and I'm saying that as a goddamn American. I don't know. I think this is fucked up to see. I don't know what side of the aisle you're like, nah, man, this is great. This is gonna be so good for us, man. We potentially might get into another forever war over the drugs or fishermen on boats that were just blowing up. Also, it's worth noting, too, Boat Watch. I think we did hit another boat. That kind of got mentioned when I was, like, listening to this story on Start Here. I don't know what that brings the count at. I don't have an article at the ready. But, I mean, I don't know. I guess this is, quote-unquote, supposed to keep America safe, make America safer. It's going to stop all those big bad drugs that we all seem to love so much and keep buying, by the way. But anywho, we did some more wild paraphrasing. I like it. I like what we did with the place. Let's go ahead and move on. We got to go talk about some Saudi Arabia. I don't know how I was going to sing that, but I need a water break. Oh, man. All right. From the Associated Press. Saudi Arabia bombs Yemen port city over weapons shipment from UAE for separatists. Saudi Arabia bombed Yemen's port city of Mukalla on Tuesday after a weapons shipment from the United Arab Emirates arrived for separatist forces in the war-torn country and warned that it viewed Emirati actions as extremely dangerous. The bombing followed tensions over the advance of Emirates-backed separatist forces known as the Southern Transitional Council. The council and its allies issued a statement supporting the UAE's presence, even as others allied with Saudi Arabia demanded that Emirati forces withdraw from Yemen in 24 hours' time. The UAE called for restraint and wisdom and disputed Riyadh's allegations. But shortly after that, it said it would withdraw its remaining troops in Yemen. It remained unclear whether the separatists it backs will give up the territory they recently took. The confrontation threatened to open a new front in Yemen's decade-long war, with forces allied against the Iranian-backed Houthi rebels possibly turning their sights on each other in the Arab world's poorest nation. It also further strained ties between Saudi Arabia and the UAE, neighbors on the Arabian Peninsula that increasingly have competed over economic issues and regional politics, particularly in the Red Sea. Tuesday's airstrikes and ultimatum appeared to be the most serious confrontation in decades. Yeah, there seems to be like a whole ass, I say seems to be, I'm a fucking idiot, but there's a fucking whole ass Cold War type situation going on between Saudi Arabia and the UAE. I'm way too dumb to be the one explaining that to you. I'm gonna just level with you, and I can't, I don't know, but I'm learning more about this shit every day. But it has been going on for a very long time. It is steeped in a lot of different, areas and regions. Like, this is a thing like taking place over a lot of places, going all the way into Sudan, in terms of motherfucking sides getting backed by one or the other. So, it's a lot to really cover. I mean, I think it would definitely be good to read through this whole fucking article, get all the details up. But even then, that's only going to give you a slice of what's going on just between the two of them. Not even talking about, once again, the regions of said conflict, like where it all kind of spreads and spirals out. But yeah, and I can't explain it either. I imagine that this is over, at the end of the day, the almighty dollar. It's the biggest reason why we're competing with China, and why any country is going up against another is because, hey, you have a thing we want, and we want to make the most money and have the most things and the most stuff and the most control and all this kind of fucking bullshit. So that's why we are, fighting you, invading you, bombing this, hitting that, doing an atrocity here, there, everywhere. So we can get more good shit. We can get more stuff. A lot of times it's not even good shit. It's just, we just want to hoard. Ugh. Yeah, man. I love capitalism. It's so great. And I always get back to that shit. Anyway, like I said, I know I'm doing this situation a whole disservice, but I at least just wanted to kind of cover the top. I would also imagine that this is going to be something we kind of come back to in one way, shape, or form. Maybe not this specific instance or whatever, but like I said, that's why the term Cold War clicked in my head as I was thinking about this shit. And I'm I think that is the best way for me to try to describe it, is that, not Cold War, because it's kind of not, but proxies. Things are just happening, throughout. But when you pull the string, it goes back to either Saudi Arabia backing it or the UAE backing it. And it's what the fuck? And it's well, it's for this reason or that reason. Da 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 da. Anyway. We have one more story that I wanted to cover. This popped up on my radar towards the tail end of the day. Granted, I don't know. I to be honest, I haven't been as locked in. I've been really busy at work and then, doing all the other stuff when it comes to life after work. But yeah, this kind of hit my radar and I was yeah, I want to talk about this shit because the Trump administration he seems so many times they're going out of their way to shock you, surprise you. Or to appease this dark urge and I guess some of their base that just yeah, no, I want to see this shit. I want to see you do some the depraved shit that I don't want to say out loud. I want to see you do it because that's what really is going to make America great. We got to break these eggs, so to speak. And I'm going to get into it. But yeah, let's go ahead and take our last break. And we got to go to Minnesota. We got to talk Minnesota crime, little fraud. And I like talking about fraud more times than not, but of course, you gotta love the Trump administration just fucking shitting all over it and making it not fun to talk about. But, so it goes. So it fucking goes. Hey. Oh, man, believe it or not, as much as we do talk about Trump and his dreaded administration, I do try to not cover everything. I know, was it Benjamin Netanyahu? He came, I think, to Mar-a-Lago. Isn't it so fun that these war criminals just get to hang out here, just chill? But they talk shop, and of course he's not going to hold him to any kind of account on this shit. And he comes out of that saying, "Hey, Hamas is got to disarm. They got to do that ASAP." Da da da. It's just oh, okay, man. All right. Meanwhile, Israel has just been bombing, killing people over imaginary yellow lines and shit. But whatever. I know that's a whole other thing that we haven't been talking about as much lately. But I'm often following the media, and the media is saying, we don't really want to cover that as much. Maybe a story here or there, a little Bethlehem Christmas magic in fucking Gaza, or some shit like that. That's kind of what you get. Little hallmarky piece they try to do, and then that's about it. And that was the BBC. Also, this is a random shout out and flowers, condolences. I believe it is Isaiah Whitlock Jr., but he was the shit guy from The Wire. He passed away, and that's sad. Also, they're saying Tatiana Schlossberg, JFK's granddaughter, I believe also a journalist, she died. So, RIP to them. RIP to them folks. Sorry, I'm double dipping the chip. Oh, you know what though? Bonus, Snyder Cut. I forgot to tell you guys that I literally, this was the earliest I clocked out all year because towards the tail end of the day, it just got so slow, it got so dead, and I needed to use the facilities. And I made 2 stops, stopped at the closest restroom. Okay, taken. Went to one of the main ones. Okay, I'm clocking out 4 minutes earlier than normal. I'm just going to leave and go home. And I reconnoitered at home, So for me, this episode is also running a little bit later. Pretty much going to be doing one of those, post and probably get in a post and go to bed, more or less, situations. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Sorry. It's a long last break. I'm milking it. Hope the boss doesn't get mad. Can you imagine actually Spotify blows up my house? That's actually a fucking terrible joke. I'm sorry. See, other podcasts could have more fun, man. God damn it. Anyway, CBS News. HHS freezes all child care payments to Minnesota after viral fraud allegations. The Department of Health and Human Services said Tuesday it has frozen federal child care funding for the state of Minnesota, citing viral fraud allegations. Do you hear that sentence though? Viral fraud allegations. And they really do mean viral, like internet viral type shit. Deputy HHS Secretary Jim O'Neill announced the move in a post on X, writing that blatant fraud appears to be rampant in Minnesota and across the country. We have turned off the money spigot and we are finding the fraud, he wrote. O'Neill cited a YouTube video in which conservative YouTuber Nick Shirley, fuck you, dude, alleged nearly a dozen Minnesota daycare centers that receive state funds aren't actually providing services. O'Neill said the agency has identified the centers mentioned in a video and demanded that the state carry out a comprehensive audit of them, including attendance records, licenses, complaints, investigations, and inspections. Now, some shit like this is all hitting the fan, and you see like a New York Post, like Governor Tim Walz ignores like signs and da 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 about this kind of thing, and like let it run rampant, and it's like, okay, well, let's read a little further. CBS News conducted its own analysis of daycare centers mentioned by Shirley. All but 2 have active licenses, according to state records, and all active locations were visited by state regulators within the last 6 months. The analysis found dozens of citations for safety, cleanliness, and other issues, but no recorded evidence of fraud. We are not here to say, are these daycares fucking perfect, immaculate? Oh, you know, you can eat off the floors. We're not saying that fucking shit. We are talking about straight up fucking fraud that at the top of the story we are saying was viral. No, it's just some shit that a motherfucker made up. A guy named fucking Nick, bro. No, dude. As surely as my name is Shirley. Fuck this guy. Tomatoes for him. Send him to the town, my God. Anyway, a spokesperson for Minnesota Governor Tim Walz said in a statement, the governor has been combating fraud for years, while the president has been letting fraudsters out of jail. Okay, that's kind of a bar. Tim Walz, he still got it. Fraud is a serious issue, but this is a transparent attempt to politicize the issue to hurt Minnesotans and defund government programs that help people. What are we talking about here? We're talking potentially what? So far I'm hearing 2 instances here. Like, bro, this is not a rampant case of fraud coming out of a state. Like, this is something that you could probably see happen in any one of the great states of goddamn America. Like, what are we saying here? Starting immediately, O'Neill said, all payments from HHS Administration for Children and Families nationwide will require a justification and a receipt or photo evidence before we send money to the state. So I'm sure that they're saying, hey, we're actually not doing what those fucking radical liberals are saying. We're not shutting down anything. We're just adding more stipulations so that, you know, there's less fraud. And I think when you say it that way, like, you know, as a normal person, like a normal fucking evil demon in a suit, then, like, that's easier to swallow for people. And it's like, okay, you know, all the moderates can be like, okay, all right, that's fine. It's not that bad. Even though, yeah, maybe this means that a kid doesn't eat and, you know, doesn't have the things that they need. Oh, okay, yeah, it's fine, it's okay. Like, but, nah, they don't even want to do that shit. They're like, nah, man, this dude named Nick, he's telling us that this shit's fucked up. He's saying that there's fucking corruption up to the eyeballs in Minnesota. All right. The Administration for Children and Families sends home $185 million in child care funds to Minnesota annually. The agency's head, Alex Adams, said in a video shared by HHS. Minnesota receives hundreds of millions of federal dollars per year to support its child care assistance program, which subsidizes daycare services for roughly 23,000 children from low-income families. In the current fiscal year, ending in September 2026, the federal government share of the program was expected to total $218 million, with the state kicking in $155 million, according to state projections. I mean, dude, this is also one of those things where you just want to, you know, talk to the Trump administration and say, like, bro, if you broke, just say that. And you don't want to fund this shit at the end of the day, right? Like, you don't want to, right? It is the same reason why when we're talking about SNAP, people try to get fucking weird and say, actually, you know, it's kind of fucked up that you can get soda and you can get like snacks and shit. Like, you can get candy on SNAP. Like, don't you think it's kind of crazy? Oh, what's next? A lobster? You should be able to get whatever the fuck you want in the damn store with this fucking government assistance. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, be a normal human fucking being for a second. Like, it's just crazy to think that it's like, nah, poor people don't deserve this shit. Like, just say it out loud. And this is what I'm getting at, is that once again, there are people, they just are. You just can just say this shit. There are people in the MAGA movement, whatever the fuck, who really do have this internalized fantasy that they just want to see all of the poors and the lesser thans and the brown people that aren't looking like them or whatever. They're the people who deserve to get worked and turned into fucking glue because they're undeserving. But you, a salt of the earth, great American, I'm sure your family's got some kind of history here, of course. Maybe they were on the Mayflower or something. Who knows? You got a family tree. It says something. You should be the ones running America. You should be the ones getting the real benefits, not them. Why are they getting anything? And that is what they think a guy like Trump represents. Even though, once again, 99% of these motherfuckers are also the people who are going to get turned into glue by this administration. In administrations like it. But they don't give a shit, really. Because it feels good. It's like a sense of wish fulfillment for them to see the Trump administration move like this in Minnesota. Because it's not on them. They don't feel a sting. Now, maybe people in Minnesota, maybe they get to wake up in this situation and they realize it's actually not some, brown Kamala Harris voting motherfucker. No, it's actually them that are in this situation. It's actually them and their families that are being affected by this shit. Maybe they wake up, but you hear these stories and you still hear people doubling down nope, voted for Trump. I'd vote for Trump a third time. God damn it. And give me J.D. Vance. I'll put his name down. I'll write it in. I don't give a damn. So there's no reaching these people. There's no reaching that shit. I'm done with that shit. I'm not having a fucking great debate about this. It's just wild to see that there's always a new bottom that we can dig to. God damn. But yeah, that's all I really wanted to cover here. That's gonna be the episode. Actually, I am running a little longer than I wanted to, so that's how it goes. That's how it goes. Anyway, if you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon. Patreon.com/Isaiah News. Become a newsie today. Roll call is coming up. Literally, the new year is coming. The roll call is coming. I'm Paul Revere with this shit. Get on board. Hop on the horse with me. But yeah, shout you out. Plug a project if you like. There's some bonus content, whatever. It's not deep. This is a tip jar. Let me just fully disclaimer. This is a tip jar. Hopefully you're liking the content and you're just here's a $5. Thank you. Okay? Because that's what that's about. Anyway, free ways to hit me up, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials. Subscribe to the YouTube. Follow on TikTok. Follow on Spotify. Follow on any of these goddamn platforms. I'm there. I'm yapping. I'm ready for you. Press play now. Anyway, let's see. Leave a like. Leave a cool comment. Sharing is caring. It can be fun. 5 stars, Spotify. 5 stars, Apple Podcasts. Do it now. Or don't. It's totally cool. Because it looks like we made it, man. It looks like we're almost done. We have one more day until we're done with 2025. And I don't know, I'll have a wrap up or some kind of wistful nostalgia thing maybe tomorrow or not, who knows. But anyway, hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.